This 18th Sunday is inviting us all to consider meditating on how well we work well with abundance. The first reading from Ecclesiastes also points to a time of abundance during the days of Koheleth, who was a wisdom preacher. His time was marked by great progress in Israel, and there was a flourishing of the economy. There was also an increase in slave trading. Agricultural production increased, and many traders from outside were attracted to come and be part of the lucrative business that took place in Israel. So as Koheleth observed the whole situation, he saw people too much excited about money, and everyone was planning to get as much money out of the other. And it seemed like no one wanted a coin of money to spend a minute in the hands of the other. Like today we have many adverts on TVs. I think the persuasion they make is like to draw money out of people's pockets at every instant and as much as possible. And when it gets in their pockets, another advertiser is out on the look to get it out. So as money lands in your hands, it's taken by the other. And those are just brief moments of satisfaction. For Koheleth, that didn't make any good meaning for him. So he said, everything is vanity. Whether you have money for a moment, it's taken away by another. And at times that money is stolen. He says, why all this struggle? So he did not become part of the great movement of enjoying the abundance as people delved into pleasure, into great eating, big spending, making names over the wealth amassed. And he himself looked at everything as fleeting, empty, vain, and he said, vanity. He was pessimistic to a certain degree. The young man who comes to Jesus to complain is also about abundance. He wants a share from the inheritance maybe their dad left. It seemed the other brother was taking too much. So he comes to Jesus to complain. And when Jesus sees this, he detects it is greed that brings him, because he too, as much as the brother, each one of them wanted more. Maybe even today, the more issue is still alive. So the word of God today comes to challenge us that could we consider thinking about the way we deal with abundance of whatever level that lands in our hands. How do we deal with it? Does it make us blind to God? Does it make us blind to our brothers and sisters? We have heard the rich man after an abundant harvest. He is in a management committee meeting. He is the chairperson, the secretary, and he's everyone. And he says, I, my barns, my crop, my harvest, after I have done all this, I shall sit down and eat and enjoy my life because of the possessions I have amassed all this time. One wonders, and even I wondered, why couldn't he remember God who supplied the soil and the seed and the rains? Why couldn't he have at least in mind friends to invite and enjoy the harvest? How about the workers? Even family members are out of this planning. I think he had a family. Everything is about I, me, and my. You can see this man actually is in great suffering because he is held hostage by that abundance. And he can't see anyone else apart from the abundance. And unfortunately, the abundance he's trying to dialogue with can't answer back. And maybe this is the reason he's taken away quickly, because he was going to waste a lot of time talking to things that he cannot relate with in person. They didn't even know what he was planning for them. Poor crops were there in the barns, not knowing that their owner was planning such big projects for them. So that's, I think, what Kohelet says, it's emptiness. If things rule me and overtake my attention and my heart, and distance me from God, distance me from fellow human beings, then that kind of amassing is dangerous. So Jesus is telling us in the gospel to put emphasis where our inheritance lies, an inheritance that will not be taken away from us, an inheritance which cannot be soiled, an inheritance that cannot be snatched away from us by anyone. And this is the inheritance St. Paul is talking of in the second reading, that when Christ came, descended among us, preached his mission, and died for us and for our salvation, he opened an abundance that we should all have our hearts lifted up to. This abundance is in the Father's house. And what makes us rich there is to embrace the life of the kingdom, which is well laid out in the gospel. Live that life. It's life from God in abundance. Then it will open our eyes to look at everything around us with clear insight, and we shall be able to handle it meaningfully, profitably, usefully, and for the benefit of our souls and for the benefit of others. So this is what the Word of God today is inviting us to consider, to learn to use well the abundance and get the most out of it, especially keeping a balance between being upright in the sight of God and upright in the sight of people. So we do not mismanage the abundance God has given to us out of sheer gratuity. May God help us through the Spirit to delve for more in God in order to strengthen those spiritual assets that we need, assets that will enrich the material assets. If we live up to that, then our life will be meaningful, and everything we go through will make a good impact on ourselves and on others. Thanks to you all for journeying with me on the journey of faith that I was sent to witness to in this parish. I wish you all well as you handle the treasures of heaven to reach the Father's house. I shall pray for you that you remain constant in holding valuably the treasures Christ has given to you in great abundance, and pray for me that I may do the same. The Lord be with you.